All right, so we're diving into Lone Capsuleer, Chapter 7. The Capacitor is empty.
Ooh, yeah, this one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Vaylin's in a real tough spot here. I mean, he is trapped. His ship is barely holding together. Shields are weak, capacitors drained, no drones left, and he is surrounded.
It's a total nightmare scenario.
It is. And this escape, I think, is really just the start of something much bigger.
Yeah, it is.
But before we get into all that, let's just break down how bad this situation is for Vaylin. So a drained capacitor in a space battle, that's not just like, oh, bummer, gotta wait a second.
No, not at all. It's pretty much game over.
Right.
Yeah, because that powers everything. Weapons, shields, I mean, even those micro warp drives he's known for,
Okay.
they're all useless without it. It's
Right.
basically like, showing up to a gunfight, but your gun's jammed.
Yeah, you were helpless.
They're helpless.
And to make it even worse, he's up against Dark Bliss. And we know Dark Bliss is not just a strong dude. This guy's got brains.
He's cunning, he's strategic, he's patient.
And he's been after Vaylin for a while now, right? This isn't just a random encounter. This feels personal.
Absolutely. So yeah, even if Vaylin gets out of this, the threat's not going away.
No, not at all.
Dark Bliss will be back.
So Vaylin uses an ECM burst. This isn't just like, oh, I'm going to try this thing. Vaylin's prepared for this.
Right.
He knows Dark Bliss. He knows the tech that Dark Bliss relies on. He planned for this moment.
It's a gamble, but it's calculated,
Yeah.
He's a few steps ahead, like always.
And it works, right? It buys him a little time, just enough to get out.
Mm.
And it's not just him. He's got Aeliana Soren with him.
Oh, they are in sync.
Yeah.
I mean, the way they use cloaking and those micro warp drives, it's almost like a dance.
They're not just running, they're using everything around them.
Yeah, they're using the environment, their ships. It's incredible.
Then they deploy this decoy, right? To mimic his ship. I was holding my breath when I read this part.
Oh, me too. I mean, talk about thinking on your feet. That's brilliant. Because remember, we talked about how Dark Bliss uses those probes and sensors? Well, this is where it all backfires.
It works. They shake everyone off, at least for now. And they get to the gate, but wouldn't you know it, Corvan is there. Talk about a close call.
I know. And Corvin is not a pushover. He is Dark Bliss's right hand, incredible pilot.
Right.
This scene really shows you how skilled Vaylin is. I mean, his capacitor's not even fully charged. He's still recovering from that fight, and he manages to outmaneuver Corvan.
And it's not just skill, it's the timing, the precision. I mean, he is so good.
It's incredible, yeah.
But even though they escape, it just feels like it's not really over,
Yeah, there's so much more to uncover.
That whole thing in Jovian space, the advanced tech they found, the ruined Eidolon, and the drifters, it all hints at something much bigger.
It's like this escape is just the first step into a much bigger mystery.
So we've just seen this amazing escape. What stands out to you the most about Vaylin from this chapter?
I mean, it's his resilience. He's staring death in the face, but he never loses sight of his goal. And, that purpose, that drive to find the truth, that's what makes him such a captivating character.
He's like carrying the weight of, I don't know, the whole galaxy on his shoulders. Like he knows so much is riding on what he finds in Jovian space. Running away would be so much easier, but he's driven by something bigger than just, keeping himself safe.
Yeah, he could just disappear.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't. He goes back to Jovian space. It's like almost like he's drawn to it.
It's a bit like, what's that saying? Curiosity killed the cat.
Right.
But for Vaylin, maybe curiosity is what's going to save everyone. Why do you think he goes back?
It's got to be curiosity, right? But also, I think, a sense of responsibility. He's seen how powerful that Jovian tech is. And if it falls into the wrong hands, I mean, who knows what could happen?
It's like he's become this, protector of this knowledge.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't fully understand it yet.
Yeah, and the stakes are huge here. We're talking about technology that could completely change the balance of power.
So what do we actually know about this Jovian tech? It's obviously powerful, but what makes it so different from anything else we've seen?
It's described as being way beyond anything the empires have, almost alien. And there are hints it might be connected to the drifters.
The drifters.
Yeah.
They always show up at the worst times with all this power, and then poof, they're gone. We have no idea what they're really after.
All right, it's all a mystery, so it adds this whole other layer to Vaylin's mission.
So it's not going to be easy.
Huh.
What else makes Jovian space so dangerous?
Well, just getting around is tough. Unstable wormholes, weird gravity, you never know what you're going to run into. Oh, and the drifters. Imagine getting lost in that mess, and then bam, you run into a drifter fleet.
Not a fun time.
Vaylin's not just wandering around, though. He's got a purpose. He's trying to find answers about the Jovian tech, figure out how it's connected to the drifters, and, of course, see what happened to the Eidolon. Right, the Eidolon. Another piece of the puzzle. It's supposed to be incredibly old, maybe even older than the Empires. Vaylin thinks it holds clues to understanding the drifters and their tech.
So it's like space archaeology.
Mhm.
Valen's digging through the ruins of some lost civilization, looking for answers.
And remember, Dark Bliss is out there, waiting for him to slip up.
Yeah, the tension's definitely there. So we've got Vaylin and Aeliana. They're heading into the unknown with all this danger. And the fate of the galaxy could be in their hands. What do you think they're thinking right now?
I think their biggest fear has to be failure. Failing to understand the tech, failing to stop it from being misused, failing to protect people.
But they've also got to have hope, right? That they can figure this out, that they can make a difference.
Definitely, hope's got to be there too. It's this balance, this tension between fear and hope. And that's what makes their story so, I don't know, relatable.
So they're going back to Jovian space. What kind of challenges do you think are waiting for them? We talked about the navigation and the drifters, but what else?
Well, I think just the psychological toll is going to be huge. The constant danger, the isolation, that pressure to succeed, it's going to weigh on them. They'll need to lean on each other.
Yeah, their partnership has been so key. They work so well together, covering each other's weaknesses.
And it's not just the physical challenges. They're also trying to piece together this puzzle, figure out what it all means. They have to decipher clues, analyze all this data. It's a lot to handle.
It's like a battle on like 3 fronts. External threats, their own fears, and just the unknown. And everything depends on them winning. Before we wrap this up, what really stuck with you from this part of Vaylin's journey? What would you say to someone who's about to read it for the first time?
For me, it's this feeling that we're about to uncover something huge. You know, like we're on the verge of like a major discovery, something that changes how we see this whole universe.
It's like we're standing at the edge of this giant unexplored area, knowing there's amazing things out there,
Yeah,
but also terrifying stuff.
and that keeps you hooked, right? You just got to know what happens next.
Vaylin and Aeliana, they're going into this unknown, this Jovian space. It's dangerous, it's mysterious, and everything hinges on this journey.
Yeah, and they're not just exploring, they're fighting too. They're up against things way more advanced than what they've seen before.
It's like David and Goliath. But Vaylin's weapon is his mind, his skill, his will, and he's got Aeliana with him, a true partner.
Their connection is incredible. They trust each other completely, they rely on each other's strengths and help each other through the tough times.
They're a real team, a force to be reckoned with, but they're still facing a huge challenge. They're outnumbered, outgunned, and going into this area where the rules of physics don't even seem to apply.
Just getting around is terrifying. Those wormholes, the messed up gravity, you never know where you'll end up. And then there are the drifters.
It's like a haunted house in space, all these twists and turns, and anything could go wrong. And the drifters, they're a constant threat.
Their technology is unlike anything we've ever seen. It can warp space and time, control energy on a scale we can't even imagine. They're like a force of nature.
It's like they're from another reality, playing by different rules. Facing them is like looking into this huge void, this unknown, that shakes you to your core.
And still, Vaylin and Aeliana go in, driven by this need to know and to protect the galaxy from whatever this technology could do.
They're not just trying to stay alive. They're fighting for the future of so many worlds, to make sure civilization survives. It's a heavy burden.
They're true heroes, but being a hero often means sacrifice. What will they have to give up? What will they lose?
We don't know yet. But Vaylin and Aeliana's journey, it's going to be filled with danger, heartbreak, and moments that change everything.
That's the amazing thing about Lone Capsuleer. It keeps you guessing, keeps you hooked, and you always want more.
It shows the power of imagination, the thrill of exploring, and just how strong humans can be when facing the unknown. So as we wrap up this deep dive, think about this. What would you do if you were Vaylin?
Would you run, try to stay safe, disappear, or would you face the darkness, knowing that the fate of the galaxy might be in your hands?
It's a question we all might face in our lives, in our own ways. And it's worth thinking about as we try to understand our own lives and make the world better.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Lone Capsuleer. We hope you've enjoyed exploring this amazing chapter with us.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep reaching for the stars.